I am back with another Norway video for you all, and this time it's going to be about famous Norwegians, both living and dead. Of course, this is not going to be a completely comprehensive list because, damn, a lot of really cool Norwegians have done a lot of really cool things. We're going to start with the explorers. First of all, we have Roald Amundsen, who was the very first person to reach the South Pole. He was also the first person to traverse the Northwest Passage. The second person to mention is Thor Heyerdahl. Many of you maybe now had the opportunity to watch the movie Kon-Tiki. That was about his bamboo fleet experiment to cross the South Pacific on this raft made of balsa wood, which is absolutely insane. And he's of course a very famous explorer and anthropologist as well. Other solo adventurers worth mentioning are Erling Kagge, Børge Ausland, and of course Lars Monsen. Norway has and has always had a lot of really famous figures within literature. One of the biggest names that I think I can mention is Henrik Ibsen. Henrik Ibsen was a playwright and a poet who lived during the 19th century. That's the 1800s for anyone else who does that in their head, which I do every time. He wrote plays like When We Dead Awaken, Peer Gynt, and of course Dollhouse, which is probably one of the most played plays in the entire world. He's probably considered Norway's Shakespeare. Another writer worth mentioning, I thought, is Roald Dahl. I know he's not actually Norwegian, but he does have Norwegian descent. Roald Dahl is also the author genius behind the books Matilda and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and other great stories as well. Other Norwegian poets and authors worth mentioning as well are André Bjerke, Ari Behn, Bjørnstjerne Bjørnson, Lars Saabye Christensen, and of course Knut Hamsun as well. When it comes to music, there is probably one Norwegian band that is more famous worldwide than any other Norwegian band, and that is, of course, Aha. Now, it's a bit outdated for those of you who were born in the 90s. Of course, this was an 80s band, but it was massive, and they are of course known for their huge hit, Take On Me. And the guy who hits the high notes, his name is Morten Harket. Other than that, there's not a lot of really world famous popular music bands or artists that come out of Norway. There is of course the genre of black metal, which I will not go into because I don't know anything about it. But we have a lot of really good classical artists. We do of course have the Norwegian composer Edvard Grieg, who has composed the music piece Morgenstund, which I am convinced absolutely every person in the world has heard, because it's always used in movies when it's like morning and birds are chirping and the sun is shining. I can't unfortunately play it for you here because YouTube will, you know, whip me for it, but I will leave a link to it in the description below. Other classical music artists include Solveig Kringlebotn, who is a world famous opera singer, and Sissel Kyrkjebø, who is sort of like opera classically combined with a little bit of pop. She was also the Norwegian voice for Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Now, when it comes to art that you can see and maybe even physically touch, we have a lot of different Norwegian artists for that. Most famous is of course Edvard Munch, who of course painted the world famous painting Scream. Very attractive, looks like that. And then there is Gustav Vigeland, who has an entire park in Oslo, the capital of Norway, dedicated to him and filled with his works of marble statues of naked people. And then there's Theodor Kittelsen, who spent his entire painting career painting myths and story tales and sort of like mythical things. And if you're looking for something incredibly weird and odd, there is also the painter Odd Nerdrum, who paints a lot of erect penises and naked people. Now, Norway doesn't have a lot of very world famous politicians, but we do have a few. For example, Gro Harlem Brundtland, who was the first and so far only female Prime Minister of Norway, and she was also the Director General for the World Health Organization. And then of course we have the current Prime Minister Jens Stoltenberg, who is probably most world famous because of all the media attention that the terrorist attacks in 2011 sort of brought onto his party. And last but not least, our functioning Minister President during the World War II, Vidkun Quisling, who was found out to be a traitor and a fascist when he turned Norway over to Hitler. Notable names in sports include Ole Gunnar Solskjær, who has played for Manchester United and is a notable name within football, Cecilia Brækhus, who is the current and undefeated world champion in welterweight boxing. And of course, we have a long list of really accomplished good skiers like Bjørn Dæhlie and Vegard Ulvang and Petter Northug Jr. and tons more that are psycho because they are so incredibly fast on those little sticks. I also have a bonus name on the list of athletes, who is Harald V of Norway. Yes, that is the current king, who is a sailor, a champion, and a former Olympian. Lastly, worth mentioning in the list of famous Norwegians are the businessmen and the entrepreneurs, the guys who make the dollar bills, yo. Of course, there is businessman and mountaineer Arne Næss Jr., there is real estate developer Olav Thon, and of course businessman Petter Stordalen, just to name a few of the richest people in Norway. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed this little list of famous Norwegians. Every single one of the people that I've mentioned are linked in the description below, so you can go onto the Wikipedia site and read more about them if you want to learn more. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I can answer questions sometimes. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. It's not random at all. And other than that, I really hope that you stick around for other videos in the future as well. Okay, bye!